thanks to all of you for joining us here bright and early and last minute. I am incredibly honored to have you here this morning to celebrate some wins for our public schools and discuss the path forward for our educational community, which is a top priority for me at all times. First, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that it's currently Teacher Appreciation Week. In the most normal of circumstances, our teachers represent the best of our community, educating our future leaders and inspiring the next generation. But in these unprecedented times, teachers have shown their ability to adapt, work against the odds, and show up for our children no matter what. I am deeply thankful for their service in the light of our current reality, and will continue advocating for them as well as for our students at the highest possible levels. Today, I am joined by Superintendent of the Allentown School District, Thomas Parker, and Allentown School District Board President, Sarah Brace, to announce new congressional funding that has been secured for Allentown schools and to discuss the needs of our public schools as we move forward. On March 27th, I voted to pass the CARES Act, which is a historic bipartisan relief package aimed at helping our most vulnerable communities through the COVID-19 crisis, which has affected every aspect of life for most folks in our district. The CARES Act allocated $13 billion for state educational agencies to be used for a wide range of activities, including purchasing remote equipment, professional development for educators, summer learning, and unique support for underserved students. This funding was, in my opinion, a critical element of the CARES Act. As a member of the House Education and Labor Committee, one of my charges was to look at how education funding should be rolled out to best benefit our public schools, which are dealing with incredible hardship. I know that Superintendent Parker and ASD Board President Sarah Brace can acknowledge and expand on that hardship as well. I have to say that as we were looking at funding this package, I was thinking of the Allentown School District almost at all times, knowing that many of the students and families in ASD lack the resources to move to remote education through the end of the year. I was thinking of the children and students who rely on our schools for support services like free and reduced lunches and after-school care. I was also thinking of our teachers and support staff who were already stretching their budgets very thin, but now at the breaking point really didn't know what the path forward would be. When passing the CARES Act, it was critical to me that our schools with the most need got the most support. And that's why allocations are based on Title I status. Since Allentown School District serves so many of our most vulnerable students, it makes sense that they get fast and flexible aid that allows them to get their students through this crisis and support their staff as they plan for a new school year of unforeseen challenges. Yesterday, we learned that as part of the CARES package, the Allentown School District is set to receive $9.8 million in funding to respond to the COVID-19 crisis in their schools, which is the fourth largest allocation in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. While I'm proud that I was able to advocate for this funding at the federal level, I will continue to use my voice in Congress and on the Education and Labor Committee to find new solutions to the problems that arise in the face of this pandemic. The work is not yet done, and supporting our educational community through this crisis is going to continue to be one of my top priorities as we move forward. We know that this crisis is going to put long-term financial strain on our public schools, and we must continue supporting those schools because they are always there to support our kids and students. Thank you, and with that, I would like to introduce my friend and the superintendent of the Allentown School District, Thomas Parker.
Good morning. Again, I would like to say thank you all for joining us this morning. Without question, hats off and kudos to Representative Weil We know that here in the Allentown School District, as across the Commonwealth and across the nation at this point, districts have been faced with a crisis, and this crisis is one that needs additional support and additional funding. And what the conversation is today represents our federal government in a really bipartisan way, addressing the needs that our school districts have. So I am extremely proud to be a part of this conversation and to thank Representative Wild again for her advocacy and support of public education here in the Commonwealth. I'll take just a few minutes to kind of talk through where we are, where we've been, and a bit of where we're going with some of the additional resources that have been identified. In the original close of the state from an academic, educational, and process standpoint, we identified the continuity of education plan for the Allentown School District as a priority to switch to distance learning. Our original focus was really on providing enrichment and supports because we are a district that did not have the capacity to exist in a one-to-one distance learning environment. When we made the decision to transition, we provided a number of devices as well as some additional supports to transition to that digital learning environment. Kudos again to Secretary Rivera, Governor Wolf, for providing the platform with Edgenuity and Odysseyware that our district is using to transition into that distance learning environment. So on April 27th, we made the transition to distance learning. We learned a few things and we identified a few challenges. First and foremost, we knew that we did not have the capacity to provide devices for every student. So we have 5,000 devices that are internal in the district that we've prepared and are going out to families. Our Allentown School District Board of Directors has done a dynamic job in really prioritizing the needs of the community. And we have another 8,000 devices that have been purchased and will be in the district this week, prepared to roll out to our families. So there are a number of challenges that we've identified, from devices to connectivity, and our board as well as our community have really been working to support the school district on addressing some of those needs. However, there are some larger and longer term needs that are going to become really illuminated soon as we think about the close of this year's budget, as well as the fiscal impact of COVID on next year's budget and beyond. Reading through some of the information on the CARES Act, it really provides a level of flexibility for school districts to identify what those short-term to long-term needs are, prioritize the concerns of the district, and then allocate resources accordingly. And that's exactly what we will be doing here in the Allentown School District. We know that on a short-term level, we need to make sure that we're prioritizing addressing the digital divide. The digital divide in Allentown isn't a new concept. We know that it's been here. Now we may have just another arsenal to help us address some of those concerns here in the city and in the school district. On the long range side of this conversation, we know that there's going to be an impact to revenue. Last week, PASBO produced an article that identified revenue losses for districts across the Commonwealth with COVID. So I think this gives districts the opportunity to address some of those costs or some of those programs or resources that we have internally in the district that we need to ensure maintain that may be lost based on loss of revenue from COVID. So short term and long term, I think this gives us a really dynamic opportunity to address the needs of the district. So again, to echo the points of Representative Weil, when you think of this being Teacher Appreciation Week and the great work that our teachers and our staff have done to pivot and to transition, engaging and caring for our kids in a classroom format to now doing that in a digital format, it is absolutely fitting that this announcement is made during this week, because it shows a level of support and engagement for our teachers and our staff that we're absolutely proud of and applaud. So again, to thank Representative Weil for her dedication and her work, as well as looking forward to some dynamic outcomes from this additional funding. Allentown School District is excited, proud, and thankful for the opportunity. With that, I will pass the virtual microphone to Ms. Sarah Brace, President of the Allentown School District Board of Directors.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. On behalf of the entire Allentown School District Board of Directors, I'd like to thank you, Representative Wild, for the opportunity to be a part of this announcement. As a mother in the district, I have watched my first grade son transition relatively easily to online learning, and that was thanks to the help of his amazing teachers at Jefferson Elementary. However, we know that there are so many students in the Allentown School District and across the Commonwealth who have had to overcome more obstacles to get to a place where they could learn online. I've seen the financial impact of purchasing thousands of laptops for the Allentown School District. And as board president, I know we have more challenges ahead until things return to normal in our district. This emergency funding will go a long way to help the Allentown School District recover in a number of ways, such as more professional development in managing online learning, and by providing mental health resources and care for our students as they learn to cope with how drastically the world has changed in the last few weeks. We recognize this does not fix our problems, but we are thankful for this first step, and we look forward to working together with you, Representative Wild, for any future funding that may come our way. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you all for joining us on this, what I'm going to call a happy occasion for our community and for the Allentown School District. And as I said during my remarks, and as Sarah Brace also said, this is a good start. We understand and recognize that there's work yet to be done for Allentown School District and our other school districts in Pennsylvania 7. So thank you all for joining us for our bright and early press conference.